All right, this is Richard Carlton. Welcome to FMPug Without Borders for September 2015. I'm Richard Carlton. We're here at our headquarters, our broadcast studio at learningfilemaker.com, where all the really cool video courses are created for the FileMaker community. Now, I'm happy to welcome everyone, and just want to point out a couple housekeeping notes here. Every month I coordinate with FileMaker staff to determine if we should do a live broadcast of Dig FM from the Santa Clara headquarters of FileMaker Inc. Now sometimes the folks at FileMaker actually want us to broadcast that user group meeting, and some months it doesn't really make sense to do so. So instead of just abandoning everyone for months on end, we're picking up the slack ourselves and bringing you some awesome content. Now this month is one of those months where the Dig FM meeting won't be broadcast. So instead, we have an awesome substitution. And in lieu of the prostitution, we have Sam Barnum from 360 Works is going to be talking about integrating FileMaker into existing Word and Excel documents, even PDF and PowerPoint documents. So this is a deep dive video that's kind of a continuation of the short 10-minute overview that we did that you see in our weekly free videos that we send out to everyone. It is recommended that you check in at FileMakerUserGroup.com to check out the next available user group meeting, which is always in the planning stages. Now, in a moment, we're going to cut over live to Sam Barnum from 360 Works to talk about this awesome technology that they have. However, Sam is not quite ready yet. And so now's a good time to remind everyone that this event is sponsored by LearningFileMaker.com, creators of the new FileMaker Pro 14 video training course, which is 33 hours in length. It's a highly rated course, and it's available for the one-time purchase of $49.99. So to be clear, this is not a subscription, it's just a one-time purchase. Now keep in mind there are a number of free resources out on the internet, including fmstartingpoint.com, which is a free business solution that is completely unlocked and ready for you. Plus there are a number of free weekly videos at filemakervideos.com. Now please note we've been releasing a number of awesome videos recently. We have the Scribe 2 demo, which was released just a couple days ago. And this is the short version of this video that we talked about. So if you're looking for a 10-minute summary of this Word Excel integration with FileMaker, that's a good 10-minute summary. This video is more of a deep dive. We've also recently released a video on two-factor authentication, which is kind of this technique that you see being implemented at Facebook and Google and some places like that, where you need more than just a username and password to get into an account. You have to gain access to the account from an approved computer, which is kind of slick. We also have a video about dynamic navigation from Klaus Levint, and of course all our previous recordings from this user group. So once again, visit FileMakerVideos.com and FileMakerUserGroup.com. Now it's important to let everyone know that we have just shipped our new video course called FileMaker for Startups and Entrepreneurs. And this course is really slick. It covers all the components of building a business around FileMaker, from the standpoint that you're building a vertical market app that you want to resell, or you are interested in supporting your small business with FileMaker as an operational system to help keep everything running. So it really addresses one of two things. Either you're going to build a vertical market app and you have concerns or questions about that, or you're interested in really using FileMaker at the core of your business to help run operations. So we really tackle both those areas. Now, the previous course we talked about is the Pro 14 course, which is how to build databases. This course is kind of a business planning 30,000-foot view with some technical stuff, but it's not about building databases. This is mostly about business and planning and marketing and budgeting and revenue and money and things like that. So that's important to understand. That course is available at udemy.com, or you can go to learningfilemaker.com and press the link there. Now I want to switch to Sam Barnum, who is our ace presenter tonight. In fact, I have to switch audio here in just a second. So Sam, are you there? Now let me switch the audio here.
Hi there.
And Sam, this was a recent photo of Sam when he went overseas to bring FileMaker to the poor and homeless in foreign countries, and then he got in a fight with a raccoon.
Canada, actually. We were developing FileMaker plugins in the Canadian Rockies and fighting off grizzly bears and raccoons.
And raccoons. So that was Canada, not Afghanistan. Okay, I got confused there. But this definitely has that rough look. You don't normally look quite this haggard. So, so tell us a little bit about your background and why should people listen to you? Why should we care about what you say?
Okay. I've been using FileMaker as a developer since the mid-90s on a Duo notebook, and been using it extensively throughout all the versions that have come out. And since about 2002, I've been developing plugins with 360works for FileMaker, and we've got a lot of experience making extensions and add-ons for FileMaker. And FileMaker is a great tool, but it has some limitations. And so when you hit those limitations, that's where we can help out by making tools to take you the rest of the way to where you want to go, and hopefully make it as easy and user-friendly, developer-friendly as possible. And we've got a lot of experience with this, and we've got a great support for everything we write, and we're keeping everything under active development, and we're always adding new features. And a lot of people have really expressed how helpful the tools that we make have been to them. So that's nice to hear.
Hit your camera there real quick. We'll let you say hi to everyone before we dive deep into your project. I want to say briefly that the reason that 360works and Sam is talking about this product specifically is it's something that I personally believe in. RCC has done successful projects with this specific plugin. In fact, we endorse and use most of 360's products. I don't know if I've ever used your charting product, for example, but certain products at 360 I start to consider mission critical. And so I don't bring videos out to our video fan base that I wouldn't use myself. We eat our own dog food here. In fact, we eat it vigorously. Critical things at 360works that they do: plastic, which is the credit card integration. They do the Scribe, which started off not being such a big thing years ago, but it's gotten bigger and bigger and bigger, and that's this integration with Word documents and Excel and PDFs and things like that. So this has become a major capability. Now, of course, they used to be really famous for Super Container, but that's kind of in some ways been relegated to kind of in the background because FileMaker has brought a lot of those capabilities inside the product. But certainly, I don't see FileMaker adding credit card authorization into the product, and I don't see necessarily that they're going to do anything with direct integration with Word, which would be nice. But in the meantime, you guys make awesome products, and they help us solve problems that we cannot solve any other way. So now I want to say up front that 360 isn't paying us for this. I'm just bringing this to you because if I'm a developer and I need to get something done, I need to have the knowledge on how to do it. The product's not free. At the entry level, it's about $100 for an end-user license, and then if you have a team of people, it's going to be $500 or whatever it is. But if you try to code, like really code your own integration with Word, I don't know what your hourly rate is, but unless your hourly rate's like $1 an hour, you're better off buying the plugin from 360works. Just the way it is. So
it's a complicated format, definitely. And
it is.
Scribe happened. We used to have a lot of different plugins for things like comparing documents and extracting text from all sorts of documents, and a PDF plugin and a difference plugin, and we basically merged all those into Scribe, which became the sort of document management text utility plugin. And so that's kind of the history of Scribe. Okay,
so we have someone. We've been requesting people send us documents if they want us to take a crack at them.
Yeah, I have a few.
Okay, you have a couple. Okay, well, I don't see them. I can't see them here. So what we're going to do is we're now going to press the magical buttons of the internet and transfer control, transfer control to Sam. Transfer to Sam. And away we go. So, I mean, in the short video, we kind of talked about how this works and whatnot, and it's a plugin, so it's a plugin that you install on Pro or Server, I assume, right? It works on Server as well?
Yes, it does.
But you cannot install plugins on Go. So if you want to have it work with Go, you have to somehow have it.
That's where
talk to
perform
server.
script on server is such a huge help for if you want to use a plugin. You just put the plugin on the server and you run the script on the server from your FileMaker Go solution, and then you get the result back. And it's pretty great. Just one place to install it.
So the model that, and in the video that you can go back and watch, we talked about this it was an aviation insurance company, and they had there's Word documents out there that are frankly more complicated with more complicated formatting than what you can do in a FileMaker layout. And they can be longer than a FileMaker layout because FileMaker is typically limited to about 10 pages of text it can output. And the issue gets into you really want to have a Word document that's pre-formatted, but then you insert the latest information. So we had a pre-canned contract for an aviation coverage. So you have to cover the airplane, you got to cover the people that get hurt inside the plane, you got to cover anyone who hits on the ground, like car insurance. And so they had this Word document. It started off in a container. We'd press a button, it would extract it out of the container, this document pre-formatted, and then we would insert the latest bits of contact information and policy information into the Word document. And we did this back in FileMaker 11, so it's not a demo we show anymore because the customer's off using it in 11 and we're trying to show 14 or whatever. But that's a great analogy for creating a PDF that has a lot of legal stuff in it, right? So what do you have to show us? What can we see?
Yeah, I've got some sample files that I did for this presentation, and one is a kind of bare bones utility that lets you kind of fool around with the types of data you can read and write to a document using Scribe, and the other is a more proof of concept kind of assemble legal document utility where you assemble a legal document from some boilerplate components, such as smaller Word document components, and then populating that with images and portal rows that populate a table in the Word document, as well as just appending some free-form formatted text to it. And then you end up with a finished document.
It will definitely show us. So give us if you want to show us kind of it working initially, and then we can deep dive. And then if you have questions, everyone, please type in the questions, and air traffic control here will hand me the questions so we can make sure we get those answered for you.
Right. And I've got the Scribe documentation up on my screen. Just a quick word about what Scribe is. I mentioned it was kind of a consolidation of many different plugins, but really it's a API for working with documents, for reading and writing documents. And it offers consistent methods that you use regardless of what type of document you're working with. So once you learn how to read and write Excel files, it's going to be very, very easy to read and write Word files also. The docs are up here, and the gist of it is basically you load a document into memory using Scribe doc load, and you pass it a container or a URL or file path. And once that document's loaded into Scribe's memory, you can get the file as text. You can list the fields that are in the file, and a field means different things depending on the format, but for a Word document, that would be the placeholders that are in there. For PDF, it would be the actual acroform fields that are in the PDF, and you can get a list of those. You can write values back to the document using the Scribe doc write value, and that's going to modify that in-memory representation of the document. And then once you make all the changes you want, you call Scribe doc save file or Scribe doc save container, and that's going to flatten that back out, and you end up with a filled-out PDF or Word document, and you can save that. A few other things.
So I'm going to interject here because I'm going to interject just for a moment and ask a couple questions here so we're just clear on this. So for Scribe to work on something, we have to tell it to load it into memory first, right? So we're talking like RAM memory, correct?
Yep.
Is there a practical limit to how big it can be if we load it into memory?
We don't load everything into memory. We put in a temporary file system, and we load the core contents, but we're not loading all the binary data. So if you've got a Word document with a bunch of images, you'd be really hard-pressed to make a Word document where the text is going to cause you to run out of memory.
Right, okay. So we load it into memory with the doc load. Mm-hmm. Then we can do the doc substitute. That's where we can insert things into it, correct?
Right, that's another way of modifying the document. You can do basically a search and replace in the contents of the text. And this is, a Word document, you could just put placeholders into your Word document, like dear curly quote, like, or dear curly bracket first name close bracket.
Yeah.
And then you can look for that later and replace it. And you can do that multiple times.
So then we do the substitute, and then when we're done substituting, then what command I'm not clear as to what's the right value, or do we just want to save it once we're done doing the substitutions?
You probably call Scribe substitute multiple times, fill in any fields you want in your Word document, and then save it out as a container.
Okay. And then we can save it to another container, or we can save it to like the desktop, correct?
Yes. You can save it as a file or as a container.
That's just so you know, that's what we did with that aviation company. It started off like a template in their database, and they would say select template 1, 2, or 3 or whatever, and then they would would say generate this. It would substitute the stuff, and then it would save it to their desktop. And assuming your desktop is not horrifically polluted, most people can find a document on their desktop, right? And then that was their new one that they could send to the customer, get a quote out, or whatever the document is, right? So that was the workflow for that, and the customer loved it. I can't say that enough. It was awesome.
All right.
So show us. I'm impatient. I'm an impatient guy. I got R2D2 sitting here giving me grief.
This is the demo file that comes with Scribe. So when you download Scribe, you're going to get this. The other files I'm going to show you are not part of the Scribe distribution, but I can post those on our site shortly. And when you go to the demo file, the demo examples has sample scripts for everything. But why don't I initially just go right to the kind of the finished thing, which is this legalese sample proof of concept thing. So this is a tool to generate a legal document. We've got a base template, and which looks like this. There's not much to it. So there's a bracket company name. There's a little space for logo. Second to crash this. Okay, and then there's a angle bracket for the date, which we're going to fill in with today's date. And you notice if I double click, there's this Word document has a header part and a body and a footer. So that's our template. There's not a lot there. What we're going to do is we're going to fill in the body by appending other documents. So we've got all these docx files, and we choose which ones we want for a specific client. And some may not need the forfeiture clause, so we would uncheck that. But each one of these references a separate little template file, and I'll show you what those look like. So the end user license agreement looks like this. It's very small font that you're giving up a lot of rights by signing this document. The table document looks like this. It's just a summary of costs with an empty table. What we're going to do is we're going to append this to the document, and then after it's appended, we'll fill in the table rows. Indemnification is just some legalese with some formatting in it, some bold and colors. The other thing we're going to do is we're going to replace the logo with a company logo, and this is just a container with an image in it. The company name we're going to replace using that Scribe substitute. And then we've got just some text here at the bottom. And we've got just FileMaker formatting in here. We're going to convert that to HTML and append that to the document. And the HTML support is not perfect for everything like lists and so on, but it does work quite well for just formatted text and text colors and that kind of thing. These are the line items. It's just a FileMaker portal. This is what we're going to populate those table rows with. I'll just go ahead and click this Generate Contract button, and it happens pretty quickly. So we've got our logo there. The date field has been replaced with today's date. The company name is here, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, or 1, 2, 3, 4 clauses, and then our freeform text at the end. And our table has been filled in with those values from FileMaker. And
I'm just going to interrupt real quick. We have a phone chat going with the other owner of the company. Some of you are already desperately asking for a discount for the product tonight, and so I am. If you hear me off cussing and swearing, it's because I'm trying to negotiate with you the best possible deal we can get you tonight, Sam. So don't worry about it. I got Jesse on the cell phone here, so
okay, cool.
You just keep going, and I'll be back to you in a minute.
All right. So yeah, this is what we end up with, and it's pretty cool, and it's totally customized. You can have as many of these little template pieces as we want, and we can have bullet lists in there and a table that we populate. So it really gives you a lot of flexibility to build complicated Word documents. And the basic way that we're doing this, again, I'll make this available by end of day tomorrow on the 360works site, so you can take a look at it. But there's not much to it. These are all the scripts here. When we build the Word document, we're loading it into we're loading our contract template into memory using scribe.load, and then we're calling substitute, and we're replacing this company name text with the FileMaker field. We're calling substitute, we're replacing the date with the current date. We're calling scribe.substitute, and we're replacing the logo with that image. So again, all this happens to that in-memory document that we loaded. And then we go to our checked clauses, and for each one we call scribe.append, and we pass in this snippet, which is a container field which has that docx file for each snippet. And so we do this 4 times, or however many things we have checked. Although I think that's doing everything currently. Then we go back to our layout, and this is where we populate that table. So once we append the table clause, we're going to use scribe.writeValue, and there's kind of a special syntax here for writing to table cells. It's the number of the table, an exclamation point, and then an Excel kind of coordinate. So if you use Excel, this is going to look very familiar. And it lets you populate those table rows, and if you try to set a value for a row that doesn't exist, Scribe will go ahead and create those missing rows and columns for you. We write the total cost, which is just a FileMaker calculation for the total cost. And this is where we append those HTML notes. So we've got formatted FileMaker text. When we pass that to the plugin, it loses the formatting. So the answer there is to call get as CSS, which is FileMaker's way of turning the formatted FileMaker text into HTML. So we're passing that HTML into scribe.append. Scribe will see that it's HTML, and it'll convert the HTML formatting to Word doc formatting, which is a fairly complex issue to deal with. So that's why it's not 100%, but it'll work quite well for fonts, bold, formatting, colors. So then once we've finished making all these changes to the document, we set our finished contract container field to the result of this function here, which is scribe.saveContainer. And we're just passing in the name that we want to give it. Once we've done that, then we just export that container, and we automatically open it. So that's really it. And so this is not a long script, even with comments and white space. It's 35 lines. And what we end up with is a very flexible way to build this to build these systems. And it's something that I think a lot of people are trying to find a good solution for ways to do this. And there are some limitations with the FileMaker layouts, with what you can do, and particularly with large chunks of things being visible or not visible, as well as tables which grow or shrink depending on how many items there are in it.
Okay. Well, and just so you know, for those of you who are interested in this, I have secured a discount from the other owner of the company. That's the kind of air traffic control program that we run here. It's pretty busy. So if you hang on towards the end of the presentation, we will be giving that out. It's a limited time and only for the people here. In fact, if any of you guys snitch this out, we're going to come visit you at your home. Okay? No snitching, secret codes. All right. Question from John. Does Scribe set the Word doc with a password to change after it's generated? Can Scribe set the security in a Word doc? Is the question, I guess. What provisions are there for that and topic in general?
Scribe does not do that for Word documents. We do have support for encrypting PDFs and opening encrypted PDFs, but frankly, nobody's asked for that yet with Word documents.
Well, John from Melbourne, you're the first one, and since you're the first one, the answer is no, it doesn't do that. But, well, and I want to be clear to everyone about this. This is Scribe 2. Scribe 1 did a bunch of good stuff, but it wasn't nearly as awesome as Scribe 2. Scribe 2 does the image. Scribe 1 doesn't even do the image. And so we asked, and 360works listens. They care, right? Sam cares.
Yeah.
And they actually upgrade their product and fix bugs and add features that we need. So if enough people ask for some sort of widget or feature or whatever, it's eventually going to get added. So if you have interest or you have something it doesn't do, email the folks at 360works. If they have a general question and they want to email 360, what's the email for 360 for that?
support@360works.com.
Conveniently enough, support at 360works. If you want to get a hold of us, it's support at our... Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I don't have good support, but our support team is excellent. I lose emails; they get sucked into a wormhole. So feel free to CC me on there. But the important thing is to make sure that you send it to support@360works.com. That'll get put into our tracking system. And if you want to do something totally off the wall that nobody else is going to want, still let us know, and we can make changes to it on a case-by-case basis. And just do it as a quoted project and build it right into Scribe so that you get to use that feature even as Scribe continues to improve. A lot of features get added that way. Either enough people ask for it that we add it, or one person just really wants something right away, and we'll do it on a quoted basis, and then eventually maybe expose that as part of the public API.
Okay, so. Questions. So this is from Francisco. Contract template is a container file, and basically he's asking about store a link. It's a store like a reference. So let's just talk about the other ways of storing a document. I'm not sure if he's talking about remote containers or the really old methodology that's still in the product where you can store it as a reference, which I hate because it breaks all the time. So what can you do? Tell us what you can do.
The plugin. The plugin has an API, and several of these API functions, again, back in the documentation, when you call scribe.doc load, you pass in a container as the first parameter. So there are optional parameters. You can, again, for PDF, you can do a password if the PDF is password protected.
So if it's in the container, it doesn't matter how it's in the container, but if it can see it in the container, whether it's remote storage or remote storage encrypted or whatever.
Exactly. It can be a reference container or a stored container or a remote container. It can be a URL to something on Amazon S3 or something if you want to load a Word document just without even having the file.
I'm raising my hand vigorously right now. So here we go. I'm raising my hand vigorously. You could put these into the Dropbox. You can have Word documents that are in your Dropbox public directory. For those of you who pay for Dropbox, you can get a public directory, and then you could just reference that, right? Do that the same way?
Yep. It works great with supercontainer. You pass in a path to supercontainer or remote containers. We will, we know it's supposed to be a container, so if it's not an actual container, we look at the text content and we really figure out what it is based on that. Is it a FileMaker path or like a regular file system path or a URL? And we'll get it however we need to get it.
Okay, so next question from Russell, and you're going to need to speak this a little bit. We talked about it before we started the broadcast, but Russell's asking, I'm going to read what he says, but can it get all image resolutions, color mode in a PDF along with a document size and bleed, also pages in PDF?
This might be a good time to jump to the PDFs that people emailed to me.
Well, because I think there's a fundamental difference that a lot of people don't appreciate between a text PDF and an image PDF. And
yeah, who was that? Who asked that?
This is Russell. So, hi, Russell.
Okay. Hey, Russell. Um, let me jump to this other utility file here. So this is sort of like a tool that you would build into your solution. So it's like where you go and you check the things you want and you fill in the line items and you put the client's logo in or whatever, and then you build the contract. I have a very ugly Scribe utility that I just threw together today, and this is more just like get at the guts of what Scribe can read and write. So you were asking about PDF color space and all that stuff. I'm going to make a new document here.
Yeah, I mean, it depends if it's a scan. I mean, I think I need to say up front. Well, I don't know. You can go through it, but it just needs to be. If you have a scanner and you're making images of PDFs, like a snap scan on your desktop or something like that, the text that's in those documents is not really text. It's a picture of text, and therefore Scribe can't interact with it. So
right. So Nathan sent me a PDF that's a scan. Nathan Schneider, I believe, and
hey Nathan.
It is a scan. So let me just drop this into here.
Now, if it's got like secret,
all right, everyone's going to see it.
War plans or
profanity,
endless profanity.
Right. So there's our PDF. I haven't looked at these yet, but he mentioned it's a scan, and so this is the text from the PDF. You'll notice it's blank, because there is no text. If we open this, this is all an image.
Okay,
you can tell when you zoom in, it gets blurry.
And that's exactly what I'm talking about. So if you save a PDF and you print it out of Word or create it directly out of a document, then the text is preserved. It makes a smaller PDF. In fact, the same thing with FileMaker. If you're in FileMaker and you make a PDF and there's text on screen, it doesn't make an image of the text. It actually includes those as text objects in the PDF. If it's a text object in the PDF, Scribe can get to it. That's the way it works.
However, we can get to some of the metadata also in the PDF, and that's what I want to show you right now.
Oh,
so
cool.
we've got this loaded, and these are the fields in the PDF. One of those is PDF metadata. If I choose this, and we're going to call scribe.doc read value PDF metadata. All right, there's no metadata. I don't think there's much in this PDF. There's no author.
All right, Nathan gets an F- and an unhappy face for giving us a bad demo.
This PDF is basically just an image wrapped in a PDF. There's no metadata. There's no anything.
Well, but a lot of every time I get a signed contract from a customer or something, I stick it in the snap scan. It scans it. We drop it in a container in FileMaker where we manage that. But at the same time, we couldn't interact with it with Scribe. So just understand. For those of you who've been watching these webinars, we talked a little bit about an OCR solution that we've been playing with as a service, and I've got a graduate course in understanding the differences between types of PDF. So just understand that there's different types. So.
All right, so we have another PDF that Brigitte Oulet sent. I hope I said your name right. And this is a PDF, which I don't think is a scan. Let's try this. Yeah, so we insert this guy, and this is the text from the PDF. It looks a little weird. Let's open this and take a look at it. Okay, so I have a feeling there's something going on with encryption on this PDF or something that's preventing us from getting the full contents of it as far as the text goes. But there are fields in here, and so there's a project name, there's a location, there's a date, person name, and a checkbox here.
Yeah, and so let me take a little bit of a time out here and provide some color commentary here. There's really kind of I don't want to say a third kind of PDF, but it's a part of a PDF, and it's kind of an interesting capability. It's where you have a PDF, and normally people open PDFs, they read them or they print them, they throw them away, that's it. There are PDFs that you can click in like a FileMaker screen and interact with them. And then the data is saved in the PDF, and you can mail it back to the person who originally sent it to you. It's an interesting technique, and this plugin would give you the ability to read fields that have been filled out. So say, for example, that you want to collect information from a bunch of people, and you don't want them to go to a PHP page because they don't have good browser access, or you don't want to mess with making a browser interface. You can create a PDF with fields in it. Okay, you don't do this in FileMaker. FileMaker does not support this. You need another tool to do this, like Acrobat Professional. But it allows you to put fields in it, and then you could mail them out to 100 people or 1,000 people. They mail them back to you, and then you read them in. In fact, you could just drag and drop into the container, and you could have it automatically read the data that they'd put in. So
yeah,
it's
that's another way it looks like.
Yeah.
When we loaded this PDF, we did get a list of the fields here. So these are all the fields: analyzed by, date, effective, hazard. This is probably that checkbox. And there are some built-in ones here. These are all good. This PDF is empty, so all of these are going to show as empty. But basically, the meat of this is we're calling scribe.read value and we're passing in the field name.
Read value. Okay, so you can read the value of the field. Yeah, and so we actually did a project for Apple. The specifics of which will remain classified, but we did a project for Apple Inc. where we actually, I can't remember why they didn't want to do a browser interface. They had some reasons, and so we ended up sending a PDF out as a survey. People would fill out the PDF and mail it back, and they read it in. And this tool is a very simple tool, actually simpler than the other tool that we had. Allows you to read it in, so it's pretty slick. So yeah. That's neat. So.
Back to the color model question. Most PDFs do have a PDF metadata entry, which is an XML file kind of embedded in there. And Scribe, as of 2.1, which I just released, can get at that. So this is the metadata. Let me open that up in TextEdit. I don't know if this has what you want, but it does have some version information and information about the creator and so on. And often there's a lot more in here. So it's something you can dig around with.
I would recommend to Russell and to everyone else, if you want to play with this, you can certainly get a trial that runs for a couple hours. Now, before we get to the next question and before I forget and people yell at me, what we have arranged is the same deal that 360 did for the folks at DevCon. So if you want to get 15% off of your order of Scribe, this is the code. Everyone stand by with pen and paper. We'll actually write it out and send it to everyone. It's a 15% discount. It's good between now and, I guess, Tuesday. So I'd get your order in between now and Monday. Close of business Monday to make sure it works. The code is and you're going to put that into the discount page, discount code field, wherever that's at there, 360 on the credit card page on the 360 Works order form. So if you want 15% off, now, who was it that was giving me grief? They wanted 98% off or something like that. Actually, they wanted 50% off, but that's without much impromptu action, I was able to call the other owner of the company and get you 15%. So there you go. So never said that Richard didn't do nothing for you, right? There's my English.
And Richard, I just filled out this PDF that Brigitte sent over.
Okay.
I filled out a few fields here. My name is Sam, the Scribe, and today's date. And that's in this little utility file. And basically, when you click Apply Changes, I'll just show you the script. We go into here. It's a little compressed.
It actually looks good on our end, so that's fine.
Okay. And we can set containers or regular things. So in this case, it's text. We're calling scribe.write value. Again, we use the name of the field and then the value that we want to write to that field. And that's pretty much it. And then we just check for an error. If there is no error, then we flag this document as modified, and we commit it.
Okay.
And then once we've written a few fields, we can save the modified file, and we can see our filled-in values here. And that's how filling out a PDF works. Once we have filled this out, I can load this again and read our filled out PDF. So we'll just drag this right into here. And if we get the model, we should get, there's our scribe.
Ah, very cool. Now, so let me just to be clear about this. In Word documents, we can put little blocks of text that we search for and replace.
Yes.
Can we do the same thing with a text PDF, or do we need to use the field? Or is the field just another option?
You need the field for PDF.
Okay, so for PDFs, we can't just target like a random block of text to do a it's basically, for those of you who have a little more experience with FileMaker, FileMaker has a substitute command. We can do a substitute command into Word documents, and I guess Excel documents, but with PDFs, you need to actually target a specific field that's been set up.
Right, so if you tried with the PDF to substitute, it'll tell you Scribe Substitute only supports Word, PowerPoint, and Excel, so not PDF.
Okay, so let me ask a question before we wander too far, because David is going to want to have this answered. And this gets back to security a little bit, can Scribe open a password-protected Excel file if the password is known?
No, but you should contact us about that. Again, we support PDF with password encryption, but not Word or Excel files.
Okay, so Dave, if you want that, call those guys and see what you can do with them if you want that. Or if a bunch of you want it, then all of you complain, and then eventually Sam will add it into the product.
Yep.
Well, I got images. I'm happy I got images. I'm thrilled, to be honest with you. But yeah, that to me made life a whole lot easier, because we had charts and pictures of things, and like that insurance thing with the airplane, we'd actually put the picture of the plane in there if we could go back and do that. It would actually add that. Pretty cool.
Yeah, the other thing that's going on in this, let me see, one more. Joe McHugh sent the PDF, which is this, and I think he wanted to get that PDF has an image. So I think he wants to get the images out of it. Let's try and put this in our utility file. And Scribe did a good job here of getting all the text out. But we don't have the image out, right? So this is the image that Joe sent, and one of the reserved values we can read is a PDF can have attachments in it. We just added support for that. PDF image count. If we get this, there are 2 images. And if we say PDF image 1, no. All right, I haven't tested this yet. I think this is a problem with my utility file more so than Scribe. You get the image count, and then you call Scribe.doc read value PDF image, and you pass in a parameter. And actually, I think that this is a
I got a typo there.
And I think this is actually case sensitive. All right, demo guys. It will get the images out of a PDF. And I think that's what Joe was asking for.
Okay, that's interesting. Okay. Now, just to be clear, I think Russell's going to try to send us a sample file, but to be clear that that Scribe does not talk to InDesign files. Because we have some people here that are InDesign design people, right? So we're not talking to InDesign yet, correct?
No, but it certainly is a possibility. The Office file formats are all XML. I mean, if you take a Word document and you open it up, it's a zip basically. But if you open it up, what you end up with is a set of folders, and there's a lot of different XML things in there. And this is the main Word document here. But it's all.
So a Word document is just a bunch of little documents that are in there, and you can actually read them with a text editor.
Yeah, it's zipped up. It's actually a zip that's given a docx file suffix, and if you open it up, you can see all the stuff. And this is what Scribe is working with and modifying and reading and writing. mostly in this document XML, but a lot of other things go into these different directories if you're doing things like putting images in a Word document, which we did do on that legal presentation thing. You know, we're writing images to the Word document, and same with Excel. It's the same idea. You've got a zip file with the Excel contents in there. InDesign, I'm not familiar with the file format, but if it's documented, then we should be able to read it. You know, and there's kind of different levels of support we can have for it. One, do we want to just get the text out, and then do we want to modify it and possibly read specific fields from it? I do want to talk a little more about Scribe's text functions. Pretty much any file we can get the text out. PDF is a very odd format, and I think that's why this one example from Juliet was having some issues. But most stuff Scribe will get the plain text documents out, and that's really nice if you're doing document management in FileMaker, because once you have the text in a field, you can search on it. And then you've got a document management system that you can search on the actual contents of your files in FileMaker using QuickFind or something like that. And also another really cool thing is if you have the text and you're tracking different revisions of a file, Scribe has a really nice feature to compare the differences in blocks of text. And there's an example of that here where you find differences between things. So we've got two legal documents here, version A and version B, that were modified. If we click Find Differences, you can see everything that changed between these two things. So that's a very powerful thing that to give your clients as far as tracking things. If we do this again, you can see that Wants to Be Free was taken out, and there's a verbose option which will show you everything that was deleted instead of just one change. But
okay, so I have a question here. I haven't seen this part of the demo. So this colorization is something that's in the plugin, or you guys add it in your demo, or what?
It's part of Scribe. I'll show you in the documentation here. You call Scribe Differences Between.
Wow.
You pass
I had not seen this.
You pass in some text and some other text, and it returns a styled FileMaker text that you can just show on a layout and see everything that changed. It's also totally customizable. You can change the colors of what you want it to be.
Okay, so everyone, this is why we have 360 come on and show us their products. This is levels of depth and awesomeness here. I didn't even know. This is super cool because I know other customers that want this or have used similar things to this. This is great. And so, Sam, everyone's clapping. I can't hear you, but we're clapping for you. Great job.
All right. So yeah, you can change the text displays and the styles that you want to use for the colors. If you want deleted text to be more, I don't know, that color.
I do have random questions here along the way. When you're ready, I can kind of insert those.
Okay. Yeah, and this is the example file. We did a really good job of sample code, and these are the example scripts, and you can see how everything works. Sometimes it's nice to just turn on Script Debugger and run it and see what happens. But that's the gist of it. And this was again the difference plugin that got rolled into Scribe. So this has been around for a while.
Okay. So Sean has a question, and I can understand his question, but I think we can answer this. I could answer this, but I'm going to involve you here. So the question is, can you use Scribe to build a PDF or Word file from scratch, or do you always have to start with some sort of starter Word or PDF file to modify from?
You need to start with a starter file. And really, it's as simple as just creating a blank file, saving it, and putting it in a container field, and it's not going to take up any room or anything. But there's a lot of, even just a blank file, you've got a lot of metadata in there, and as far as who created it and so on, and it just seems like you may want a header or footer at least. So yeah, I'd recommend doing that, and then you can append things to it.
And of course, I mean, I'm sure most people understand this, but you can create a PDF out of FileMaker, right? So you could actually have a layout, export the PDF to a specific directory on your computer, and then have FileMaker suck it back into the container, and then activate the stuff that you've seen here today, right? So,
right. A PDF generated by FileMaker is not going to have fields in it, but it will certainly be able to get the text out of it.
That's true. That's true. You can get the text. Yeah, so you can't do the substitution. Yeah, you're right. So and you can't really output direct to Word. So yeah, so you're going to have to kind of start with some sort of artificial, just something, Word document if you want to build it. That's a good point. Sean, that's clever and a little bit deeper. I thought I had the answer, but when you work it out, you realize that you really did need to start with some sort of Word doc, and just exporting out a PDF ain't going to cut it. That's good.
I've got a few other sample files here. This is from Francisco. It looks like a Spanish, Portuguese, I don't know, legal document with some kind of placeholders here. And I don't think these are fields. I think these are just underscores. So if we put these in and you wanted to fill this out, oh, and here's something, firma autografa. Let's try and put this into our utility and see what we get.
Is this one that was sent to us?
Yeah, Francisco's just sent this at 7.
Okay.
So here's our utility. Make a new file.
Yes, so Francisco has a question, and you're basically answering his question here. He sent you the file. So, I mean, they should be able to do this, no problem.
Okay, so here's the text for it. It got all of that. I got all the text out. And it looks like there are no fields in this document.
But you can run your substitute, no problem.
We could find this firma autografa,
yes,
and replace it with
Yogi Bear, there you go, or John Smith, yeah, whatever. Yeah, Hancock, there you go.
Okay. And then when we save it,
you give it a Rev2 or something or whatever.
Yeah, I called it modified BTCA. So there's our John Hancock right there.
All right, so Francisco, I expect you to place an order for this right away without delay, since we just solved your problem for you.
Now, this is a big Word document too. I mean, you can see that.
That's why we use your plugin. That's why there's some things that you just can't do with a FileMaker layout. It's just too much. It's way too much.
Yeah. I'm still scrolling here.
Yeah, I know. Well, we solved Francisco's problem. It's awesome. You thought he'd break it, and you didn't. Hey, David's got a question here. He wanted to piggyback on the previous question. Where we talked about you had to start with some sort of Word document, even if it was blank. Mm-hmm. He's asking that. Well, if we start with a Word file, then can I load it in, munge it, and then output it as PDF?
No, not currently. If you load a Word document and then you save it, you're going to get a Word document. And I think that a lot of people are interested in converting Word to PDF. There are currently online services to do that. I was looking into those today, and I didn't find a great one. I know at DevCon somebody demoed something. And they didn't mention it, but behind the scenes, he was using an online service to convert a Word document to a PDF. I talked to him after. Ulio, I think. I don't remember the name of it. It started with a Y. And that's something that I think a lot of people are interested in, and we are thinking about ways to make that easier for Scribe customers. And if you get a download of Scribe, do check the box to get notifications, because we send out, I would say, less than one a month about that, so we certainly won't spam you. And if you're interested in further developments, we'll let you know when they come out.
However, I do believe in spamming people like you, Sam. So everyone who's out there, if you think that you would like to have Scribe convert a Word document to PDF, you should email Sam at 360works.com and tell him what you think. Because I think it seems to me very clearly you're leaning that way.
Yeah.
And if people are buying it and Francisco goes and buys a site license or whatever he's going to do, all these people buy it, then it just encourages you as a developer to continue to invest. And that's another reason why I like to invest in 360works, because they make money, they pay for all their living expenses and stuff, and then they build new cool products. And I need new cool products like this so we can do awesome customer solutions. That's what it's about.
Yeah, I would love a way to do that conversion within Scribe, or having Scribe contact an external service to do that. So something to think about.
Okay. And Tom wrote me a book here and a question.
I have one more Word document from Nathan Schneider. I'm going to drop this.
Why don't you work on that? I'm going to try to digest what Tom wrote here. It's a book.
All right, so Nathan sent me, this is an Excel file. Wait, where is the actual file? Oh, it's a PDF generated from an Excel file. If somebody wants to send an Excel file, that would be fun to play with, actually.
Yeah, we are running out of time here for our demo. Not that we're going to cut. We don't have an arbitrary cutoff here, but if you want to see an Excel demo, someone send them a file without delay. I'm going to read. I'm going to read Tom's thing here and see if we can make sense. Oh, you have one?
Well, this is that PDF. There are no fields in here, but it was. It looks like this. It was created with Excel, and so Scribe can get the text out of it from the PDF and probably some metadata and whatnot. But there are no fields here to actually query, because it's just a table essentially. But we can read it and get the text from it.
All right, so we do have a question here from Tom, and I'm forwarding you the question here because I'm not sure you see it immediately, but of course it's no longer in my list. But Tom's asking if you want to read that about more clever interaction there.
Okay, hang on.
Why don't you copy and paste that out to everyone so they can see that question? Yeah.
Is this in GoToMeeting or?
Yeah, you got your little questions tab over there. Actually, send it to everyone if you can. I have a production engineer, folks, for those of you who don't see. All the magic is not purely R2-D2. It's other human beings pushing buttons.
Okay. Virtual list to save Excel. Save data specifically as a number or text.
You need to repeat.
Can Scribe save in a formula in a cell that will calculate as normal in Excel. Yeah, this is something, again, that was just pushed out public yesterday in Scribe. So I've got this silly little Excel file here, which is 2 worksheets. The quick brown fox jumped over the 5th, and then skipped the 5th row. So what you want is to set values as numeric or as text. And I think that we treat the values you send in as text, unless they come from an actual number.
Yeah, he just sent a Excel. He just sent you a Excel file if you want. I mean, basically, now we got the guys who are really smart line up to try to sink the ship with hard questions. Although you wrote, I mean, to be clear, everyone, Sam's one of the owners of the company, but the reason he's doing this presentation because he personally coded this app, right? So if he can't answer it, then we all in big trouble.
Yeah, I think the typing. Let's try this. I don't have that attachment yet, so. If we say A1, we want to set it to 1, and B1, we want to set it to 2, and C1, we want to set it to equals sum of, what is the formula here? I don't know. I don't know the Excel calc that well. To get just A1 to B1, right? Let's see if this works. Um, so there's 1, there's 2, sum of A1, B1. I think I did that wrong. But yes, you can set formulas if you know how to how to write Excel formulas, which I'm pretty rusty on. I'll write the file format, but this is and it looks like it wrote it as as text. But I think that if you actually had a number field in FileMaker, let's try one quick thing. If we can just open up the data viewer and say scribe doc write value d well, a5 is 42, the number. So that modified our in-memory document, and now when we open this again, we should see. I got to close this. We should see 42 in there, and we'll see if it's number or text. 42, it's number. Okay, which means that if you call get as number, or you use a number field when you're setting a value, it'll get written as a number to the Excel sheet. And then you can have calculations that reference it. And I think that's why this calc is breaking. Oh, there we go. Yeah, convert to number. And now our calc is working. And so if we change this to a big number, that gets reflected here.
Yep. Yep. Well, that's a good question. Whether things, types of fields and stuff, that's a good one. Maybe I have to put that one in your documentation.
Yeah, good point.
I'm going to answer a quick question here for you. A question was asked. They saw the John Hancock demo, and that was like 2 words, right? But someone's asking, well, can I change a whole paragraph? And you can change whole pages if you need to of text, right?
Yeah.
Really.
There are some kind of invisible little things there's a lot of invisible stuff that goes into a Word document, and doing a replace is tricky across those. We just improved that a lot with Scribe version 2, but Word puts all sort of like spell checking markup and bookmarks and just a whole mess of things that don't really make sense why they're there.
Is there a limit to the amount of text you can switch out? I mean, we're talking about 2 characters here in this Excel demo, and then John Hancock is 10 or 12. But
no, there shouldn't be. If you run into issues, there's a chance that it's because of the underlying markup in the Word document that we just can't find the token to replace it.
Okay.
Something we're working on is pasting in formatted text. It'll work quite well for plain text.
Yeah, that's right. Well, exactly. Well, okay. If the thing you're substituting has formatting on it already, does it preserves that formatting? Correct. It should.
That's very early. Right now, no. If you call get as CSS, FileMaker will turn it to HTML, and you pass that in, and that's a very kind of alpha feature around Scribe. It's not totally there yet. But eventually, that should be something you can do. Is pass in HTML, and you can swap out a whole paragraph with your own HTML, and you can have tables and lists and all that stuff in there.
Right, but I mean, like if we have just like red text in there, if we change it from, we substitute, like the John Hancock, if it was blue and size 18, would the replaced text be blue and size 18, or would it just be straight black?
Unless you call get as CSS, it's gonna be unformatted.
Okay.
Because when you pass formatted text to a plugin, it loses the formatting. And that's just part of the FileMaker plugin API.
I'm going to make an official request that we need that. So that's needed.
I take that back. It's not part of the API, but currently that's how Scribe treats it.
Okay.
We get the plain text for the parameter.
Okay. Well,
all right.
We have something new to work on. Something new to work on. Great. We do have a handful of other questions here. Built in the Mac print as PDF. Yeah, but that's a manual. John Wood was pointing out that of course, we could take a Word document and output the PDF, but it's not scripted, right? I mean, the whole idea is you press a button and it's all automated, right? That's kind of
the idea. Yeah. You would use a service or something, and I haven't personally tried these out, but there are some online, and some of them are not automated. They say like upload a PDF, upload a Word doc, and then we'll convert it and you can download a PDF. But there's no scriptable way to do that currently. And I'm on the lookout for a good service to possibly partner with.
A couple final questions here that came up were that, or at least one of them was that someone was asking about the signatures that are captured in FileMaker Go. Now, I can tell you that signatures captured in FileMaker Go fundamentally are PNG images, and therefore there's no OCR reading of that. I don't, I'm not even sure. I mean, if you printed out a file, I guess you could take the PNG out and substitute it and do a Word document or something like that, right?
Yeah, definitely. Definitely. That's what we did with the legal agreement. You can drop an image into a Word document using Scribe Doc substitute. So you have a placeholder and you just replace that with an image. You pass in a container, and that's all you need to do.
Okay.
And whether it's a PNG or GIF or JPEG, it'll just convert it to an image and drop it into the document. And again, it'll go into that docx kind of file structure. It'll put the image as its own file in there, and it'll be referenced from the Word.xml when we're here. I lost our.
But the image will be internal, correct, to the file, right? It won't be an externally referenced. Yeah,
it'll be internal.
That's good. Yeah, I very much dislike Word docs. Then they externally reference things, and then they get broken and disconnected. That's always asking for trouble.
Yeah. And there's PDFs that reference external fonts and that kind of thing, and those can break. So that's just an issue with the file format that they support that. I guess PDF-A is a file format that is supposed to be totally self-contained, and it has a bunch of embedded fonts. And I've just been working with those and dealing with attachments in PDF, which is one of those features that somebody asked for that I don't think many people are interested in, but we're going to build it into Scribe. So.
Okay. Well, my vote is for replacing styled text or swapping out styled text with the same styled text. I am not interested in necessarily changing the styling. I mean, although you'd be thinking along those lines, I would just like it if it was red and 18 to be red and 18 when it goes back in.
Oh, that will work if it's within the bounds of what you're replacing.
Okay, so that will work if it's within the bounds. Okay.
Yeah. Let's see.
Yeah, because the last thing I need to do is have something that's size 12 times and it comes in size 11 Helvetica by default, because that's the default word.
Let's look at. Let's see. I have one more. There's one more file here.
Yeah, one more file that we can look at, and then we're going to record this and make it available for everyone in a couple weeks. And then reminder that code, while he's figuring this out, the code for your discount is going to be
Yeah, and actually this was, when we did this replace, it did save the formatting. The text was bold.
okay.
And Tom sent an Excel file. Let's take a look at this. We haven't really looked at a complex Excel file.
Okay.
All right, so here's the Excel file. I dropped it in.
There we go. That's an ugly Excel file. Right on.
Oh, oops, I should have opened it as read-only. All right, so I'm guessing there's some macros or something in here. But okay, and headers, and lots of missing rows here. But if we look over here, it did get the text out. And let's see, how many sheets? There are 2 sheets. If we look at sheet 2, one cool feature in Scribe is with Excel is you can get a range. So you can say sheet 2 exclamation point A1 to B3, and it'll return an actual tab separated value of those things.
That's cool. You have sheet 1 there. It looks like, I don't know. Is that sheet?
Oh yeah, right. That's for sheet 2. Okay, so there's our tab separated value, and it'll return that whole range. And if you just want a subset of it, you can do that. There's a few other things. You can get the maximum column, the maximum row. You can query for the functions. So in addition to writing calculations out, you can read the calculations for a certain cell if you're interested in that. But version 2, being able to write calculations is a really cool thing, because FileMaker has exporting to Excel, but it's really, you don't get a lot of control over what gets sent out. For one thing, all the field names are whatever they are in FileMaker. And another thing, formatting and column widths and that kind of thing are very limited. So what you can do with this is you can create a blank Excel file, set the column widths the way you want, set the headers up the way you want, or with bold headers, and name them anything you want, and then populate that Excel file using just a looping script with Scribe, where you set A1, B1, C1, and then A2, B2, C2.
Oh, that's right. Well, that's the thing with FileMaker is when you export as Excel, it's a pretty limited in terms of artistically pleasing kind of document.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. You can put charts in an Excel file and then populate it with data from FileMaker, and have all the formatting you want, all the column widths and metadata and multiple sheets, and however you want to do it. And Scribe will happily fill all that stuff in for you.
Well, show your smiling face, Mr. Sam. I'm going to get towards the end here. I think we're about done with questions, and I wanted to tell everyone, we're getting a lot of comments. People are saying this is awesome stuff. Right. And sorry for those of you who wanted the 98% discount. There's only so much we can do here. He does have to eat over there. Now, Sam, you're based out here in California, right? And the rest of the company's in Atlanta, right?
Correct.
So you're the California transplant, which is kind of cool. You're not too far, actually, here. We're right down the street from FileMaker headquarters, and you're just up the way about 45 minutes. So cool. Well, these are all the notes of everyone who's been, as the notes get transferred back and forth and on screen. So any final parting bits for us here? Because this is really awesome stuff.
The best thing is really just hearing from you guys when you use it. If it solves a problem for you, that's really fun to hear. And if it doesn't do something you would like it to do, that's also really, really nice to hear. So we know where to focus our energy. So it's always good to hear from people who are using our stuff.
Excellent. So once again, this is Sam Barnum from 360works, creators of the Scribe plugin for FileMaker and Word, Excel, PDF integration. And this is the FileMaker FMPug International User Group, and we'll catch you folks next month. Thanks.